I had some intention with the last ride having to fly through the sidewalks and on the day of well, the morning after a snowfall or day after a snowfall, and it was interesting for sure. I really got amazing performance out of this bike. Going through the snow, it was probably about 6 inches of snow, about 10 centimeters. And these tires, let's start at the front. These are really making a difference. You get a very good, these are the Schwalbe Ice Biker Pros with the studs. And the pattern, the separation of the way it's set, it sits, it's almost ideal. It handles so many conditions in the wintertime. It doesn't handle deep, fresh powder snow because there's a limit, obviously. It doesn't float so much, it just goes in. But when it does float, like yesterday it was floating through the snow, I think the tight geometry, and plus there's a bit of a distance in the back, the way the frame is built. So it's a good climber, and it's also very tight as far as like being able to control. It's as compared to slack. I'm not really used to the slack bikes. I'm old schooler here. So I did get this frame. This bike was not expensive at all. I mostly bought it for the frame. And you know, it has all the dropouts for the disc brakes and that. But I'm completely happy with the Shimano V brakes. I'm also pretty happy with these original Axel Manitou shock absorbers. They just, I don't see the need to replace it. Handlebars, I made those wider and put them on an angle. I also put a new gooseneck with a higher angle, so I'm sitting a little bit more upright, less bent over. And again, and with the Brook saddle, this I really like. This breaks in. Very, very nice saddle. It's very comfortable. This post here, I'm not entirely. This is one of the things I could replace. It probably if again, I don't really feel the need to replace anything because everything's working. But I'm not getting great performance out of this. It's just kind of very minimal springage here. I think the other type, but at the same time, this is the only place where I can put my lock. Now, yeah, it's just a very simple lock. It's not but the thing is, I never leave this bike out. Like I don't lock it and then go away. It's in front of a store, if anything, and that's the only time I ever lock it up. All right, the motor has been holding up really well. The battery as well. I put this mucky nut protector to prevent water or the elements from getting into the motor area, and that's been good. The motor, I've been keeping this really tight, so there's no play in here, and I had to torque this down a couple times. And my way of dealing with the torque arm, I know that I've seen a torque arm. I probably would prefer that if assuming it'll fit with the geometry here. But what I did instead is I used these heavy duty zip ties, and they're kind of like pulling on the motor upwards a bit, like it, but it's holding up between the torque of this and then the stability of the straps. The motor hasn't been moving, it hasn't been budging. The other thing I did is I ran all the cabling for the connectors to be above, so that all the water drains down below the bottom bracket and then angles into the motor, so there's no motor going in. So I'm pretty confident about the motor able to handle this. Of course, there's seals right here I've got to watch. But to be honest with you, I'm not often on salted roads. I'm trying to avoid salted roads altogether, and that's kind of the point of this video coming up. So I'm going to just so anyway, that's an intro on the bike. I'm just wondering if there's anything else. There's also the bike rack, which I put a milk crate on the back. There's also the phone holder, which is an aluminum machine phone holder. These grips I added for comfort. Original chain, new sprocket, and a new chain. This is the original shifters is what I meant here. And the LX, yeah, and I just used grease. I grease it with 3-in-1 oil. And I keep everything tight. No play. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to head out and plot a course, and I'm going to find a northern access to what I was looking for yesterday. So the roads will be a lot clearer today. It'll be a lot better. And so we'll get ready to go. and it's gonna be sunny, and so I will see you in a bit on the roads.